Hi everyone, Budget Stark here. Thanks again for tuning in. Today's video is a little bit special because I have here the shotgun Mark 40 from Comicave. This is a 1/12 scale figure. It's a little bit unusual because I don't pick up 1/12 scale figures, but it's very unusual for me because it's, I believe, the first shotgun armor to be released to the general public, and the shotgun is actually one of my most favorite armors. The reason why Comicave is a little bit unusual for releasing this one is that it's 75% die-cast metal, which I believe is probably the highest percentage. It's quite small, it's about 6 inches in height, and I'll show you that here. There you go, about 6 inches in height. It comes with a lot of accessories, and a lot of thought has been going through how they've actually presented this to collectors. I'll go through that in a moment. This first look video, I actually want to do a couple of things. One, I want to convey the weight of this. The reason being, in most videos, it's almost impossible to convey weight. So I'll actually put them on scales with the 1/9 scale King Arts, along with a standard Iron Man armor, and also a die-cast figure as well. The second thing I want to do is to give a little bit of background on Comicave, because one of the things you can see here is Comicave logo, but at the very bottom, licensed by Play Imaginative. I'll show you that in a little bit more detail in a moment. A lot of confusion is around in the community regarding Comicave. What's their relationship with Play Imaginative? I'll call them PI from here on. The reason for that, a couple of years ago, Play Imaginative tried to bring out a couple of 1/12 scale figures, and the reception by the community was not very good. Their products weren't up to scratch, and it started to get a little bit of a bad name. So at the moment, Comicave have been lumbered with the previous history of Play Imaginative. I actually met up with a senior member of Comicave because about mid-June, a guy in the UK, a collector by the name of Steve, tagged me in a conversation that he was having with Comicave, because I wanted to understand what was going on as well. I actually put up the link for a video that I did, so check that out, and it explains the conversation that I had. But essentially, Play Imaginative had the license to make 1/12 scale and 1/4 scale figures from Marvel. Comicave is actually a Singapore-based company with its holding group company based in Dubai. They bought the license to manufacture these figures and statues, whatever you want to call it. So previously, where Play Imaginative manufactured everything, now Comicave make everything. PI's only role is that they have the license to do it, which Comicave now own. And so all the manufacturing, R&D, development, quality control, distribution, etc. is actually handled by Comicave. Therefore, the manufacturer is different. I never had the previous Play Imaginative figures. I didn't pick them up because of partially the bad reviews, but also I wasn't really into 1/12 scale. It's a little bit small for me, but I can understand why some collectors would pick them up because of space. So the bottom line is that with that conversation with a senior member at Comicave, they explained that their QC process, I'm actually really impressed by, is that in their factory they actually have 5 individuals who QC the final product, and at the very back of the box here there'll be a hologram sticker with the person signing off that it's a quality assured product. It's been tested, and part of the quality control officer's KPI, key performance indicators, is that if anything is actually wrong with that figure, they can identify exactly which batch, who signed it off, which day it was sent out. So there's actually some responsibility for the person who quality controls it. That I don't believe many other, if any, toy manufacturer does, and I believe that's a very high standard that Comicave have, and I'm interested, because of that high standard, I'm interested to see how their particular figure holds up. The reason why I wanted to get a look at this is that they're doing 1/12 scale shotgun, Igor, and also Hulkbuster, which will be out maybe next year. 1/12 scale, which means it's about 12 inches, and what sets Comicave apart from Hot Toys is not direct competition. What sets them differently is that Comicave do a lot of technology and animatronics, voice activated, remote control, things like that, which Hot Toys definitely won't do. So therefore, I would say it's a complement of each other. If you're looking to pick up Hot Toys, you probably may not pick up everything from Comicave. If you're looking for something that's a little bit more advanced, that has animatronics, movement, for example, I think most people have heard of Comicave because of the 1/4 Hulkbuster that was shown with Samuel L. Jackson taking footage of it on the red carpet at the Age of Ultron Avengers 2 screening. The other thing about Comicave that I learnt was that they have a huge financial backing. They spend a lot of money on branding, research development, marketing, something that I don't think the other toy manufacturers do. I think it's partly because the holding group that they're under is very financially sound and they have a lot of money behind them, so they can essentially jump into the community to manufacture and show collectors these particular products. They obviously have the Marvel license to do this. They are looking to pick up the DC license, so we're looking at Batman and Superman in the future. And something very interesting, they apparently are in talks with Fox to look at some of the X-Men line that no other manufacturer has been able to do. So look out for that in the future. I think Comicave will be an interesting manufacturer in the future, so check those guys out. But let's look at this armor in a bit more detail. Just look out some of the features, and we'll do some posing and weight comparisons as well. Thank you for bearing with me. I wanted to get that background out of the way so you guys are familiar and understand the thought process behind the reason why I actually picked this up. I'll go through also at the very end the distributors where you can pick this up from, because they're territory related and you can't order with them direct unless you're in the specific country. Similar to Hot Toys, they always run through distributors. You can't pre-order figures with Comicave directly unless you're in that particular country in Dubai. And the final thing is that I want to thank actually Comicave, because they gave me this figure to do a first look video for them. I didn't pay for this figure, I wasn't planning on picking it up, but they wanted me to show what this is like compared to other figures. And I think most of you viewers out there know that I'll say anything that's good, bad, I like and don't like, and I told that to the Comicave guys and they said, look, just be honest and transparent, because that's how their company is as well. So I've got freedom of speech. If I don't like something, I'll say it. If I like something, I'll say it. So let's check this out in a bit more detail. This is the art box. You see the Comicave logo at the top, and at the very bottom, just to confirm, it's 75% die-cast metal. You get all this at the bottom. You get a cloth screwdriver, the repulsor hands, relaxed hands, obviously the 1/12 scale figure, the base, and also the stands for the base. This is the dynamic stand, so you can put him in a flight pose, and a shorter stand when you want him to stand on the base. So I just wanted to clarify something as well. The only other company that does a shorter stand specifically for standing on the base is King Arts. Hot Toys, their bases and the rods for holding him are actually quite long. Just in case you want to put him in a dynamic pose, you have to bend that rod quite awkwardly, I would say, in a very backwards type manner, and that's how you get that displayed up in a standing pose. So a bit of thought has gone into this for them to be able to put in this shorter stand, and these are all the various hands that you get. So let's check out the weight of this comparison with the Hot Toys and King Arts particular figures. Okay guys, I've got a standard Hot Toys 1/6 scale. I've got the Mark 7 Stealth, which is standing at around 12 inches. Then moving down, I've got the King Arts 1/9 scale, which stands at about 9.5 inches. And then moving down, I've got the Comicave 1/12 scale, which stands at about 6 inches. So you can see here the height comparison between them. Now the next thing I'm going to do is a weight comparison. So the first thing, let's go with the Comicave. So I've got the set of scales set up here. You can see that it's at 0. Let's put the shotgun on, and the weight is coming at around 145 grams. So that is the weight of the Comicave, 75% die cast. Then moving to the King Arts 1 in 9th scale die cast, standing at around 332 grams. And then finally, a standard Hot Toys 1 in 6 scale figure at 360 grams. So this is just a little bit more in weight than the 1 in 9th scale King Arts. Let's go to some posability and some options with the shotgun from Comicave. I know some of you may be interested, so I thought I'll add on the Mark 42 die cast and check the weight of that on the scales, and that is 845 grams. So the die cast figure is 2.5 roughly times the weight of a standard figure, and about the same in terms of weight more than the King Arts 1 in 9th scale die cast. Let's check out some poses for the shotgun. I'm just going to put him in a couple of poses now to show off some of the articulation and some of the effects you can get with him. I would say in terms of articulation, it is almost as good as the King Arts 1 in 9th scale. It's better in some respects than the Hot Toys, but not in others. The elbow bend is not as good on this as the Hot Toys one, but the leg articulation is better than the King Arts and the Hot Toys version on those size figures. This is really articulated around the waist section because it would twist quite easily. The light up features on the back, and the legs just slide down to allow additional flexibility and movement. So good points and bad points there. One thing that I wish they would improve on, or maybe they will do in the future, is that the clamp is not as strong as it could be. It's not spring loaded, so it just holds it in position, which is okay, it works, but I prefer it to be a little bit firmer in that respect. The pole used is pretty good, it's quite flexible, and the display stand is decent, it does the job nicely. So that's one pose you can have him in, just to show that off. Let's do a couple more using those thrusters and maybe a flying pose. Just showing off the back of this figure. The quality, I would say, is pretty good. The flaps on the leg and waist section, for example, they fit very snug. The paint app is pretty decent as well. The bit that I like is that it's painted inside the lines, and I think that shows a decent amount of quality and part of their quality control. Because you're working with something so small, it's very easy to gloss over certain sections and not have as good paint applications on the smaller sections. But all in all, I think it's been done pretty well. The only couple of points that I would make is that it is rather small. For those who are 1/6 scale collectors like myself, this is half the size of what you're expecting. So number one, it's a bit fiddly, the detail is not as high, so therefore a 1/4 scale from Comicave may be more fitting. However, I know that my son, for example, might want to play with this because it feels very durable. The die cast element is definitely high, and so we'll definitely be able to take a few knocks and will stand a bit of a bashing if it needs to go down that route. So I don't think this will be for all 1/6 scale collectors, but definitely a nice smaller version of a figure that's as articulated and not as detailed, but definitely is getting there, the 1/4 scale would be very interesting, especially with animatronics, remotes, control. I think they'll be looking at some good things from Comicave. So I'm going to finish up on this particular pose. Hope you enjoyed it as an introduction to Comicave and some of their figures and things they're doing in the future. Look out for 1/8 scale. I heard they've got something in the pipeline there. Thanks for watching, guys, and catch you all at the next video.